to The Human Lens, the podcast where we pause the noise, slow down the scroll, and have real conversations about the things that matter.
Each week, we sit down, just the two of us, two curious minds to explore life's big questions with open hearts and no filters.
And today we're diving into a topic that's both universal and deeply personal. It's the one word that sells books, fills timelines, and keeps us all searching.
Yep, happiness.
So here we are, finally sitting down to talk about the one thing everyone seems to chase: happiness.
Yeah, ironic, isn't it? We talk about it all the time, but no one seems to really know what it means.
Exactly. It's like trying to define the wind. You feel it, you see what it does, but try putting it in a box and it disappears.
That's a beautiful way to put it, and kind of frustrating too. I mean, I've spent most of my adult life thinking that happiness would arrive once I had everything.
And do you?
Technically, yes. Big apartment in Manhattan, a business that makes more than I imagined. People recognize my name in meetings. But still, I wake up most mornings feeling like something's off, like I'm living someone else's version of success.
That's heavy. Do you talk about it often?
Not really. There's this unspoken rule among successful people. If you complain, you're ungrateful. If you're unhappy, you're broken. So you stay quiet. Smile through it.
I get that. But silence doesn't solve much, does it?
No, it doesn't. That's why I'm really glad we're doing this. I've followed your blog for a while now. Your writing feels real, like you're living something I can't seem to reach.
Well, thank you. But trust me, my life isn't perfect. I teach art at a small community center, live in a rented one-bedroom apartment, and I've had my fair share of breakdowns. But I guess I've learned how to breathe through the mess.
That's what I want to understand. How does someone without all the extras feel more whole than someone who has every luxury?
Maybe happiness isn't in the extras. Maybe it's in what's left when everything else is stripped away.
Whoa, that hit me. Can we explore that idea more?
Of course. But first, what made you say yes to this podcast? Why now?
Honestly, I think I've been carrying this feeling of emptiness for years. But last month, after closing a huge deal, I came home, sat on my couch, and cried. No reason. Just this overwhelming wave of, is this it?
I've been there too. Different reasons, different setting, but same question. Is this all life is? Maybe we both reach the same point, but from opposite directions.
Yeah, that's what makes this conversation worth having. Not because we have the answers, but because we're both looking.
And maybe, just maybe, if we search honestly enough, we'll find something that feels real. So let's go deeper. You said you have everything: money, recognition, even your own company. From the outside, your life sounds like a dream. What's it actually like on the inside?
It's a lot, but not in the way people imagine. My days are packed with meetings, emails, planning, negotiating. My calendar looks like a battlefield, color-coded chaos. And yet, when I get home, silence.
No one waiting?
No. I mean, I've dated here and there, but nothing sticks. I used to tell myself it was because I was too focused on work. But honestly, I think I was afraid. Afraid of slowing down. Afraid of being seen without the suit and title.
That's deeply human. We often confuse movement with meaning.
Exactly. I've been running for years. College, grad school, launching the business. I hit every milestone, raised millions, got into all the right rooms. But you know what happens when you climb that ladder?
What?
You start looking for another ladder, and another. Because standing still feels terrifying. Like if I stop, the whole illusion will fall apart.
And maybe that's where the sadness seeps in?
Yeah. I remember one night a couple years ago, I was in a luxury hotel in Singapore. Presidential suite, skyline view, everything. I ordered room service, opened my laptop, and just stared. Not at the screen, at nothing. It hit me, there was no one to share it with. Not even a text from someone who really knew me.
Were you lonely?
I was alone in a gold-plated box. That's the best way I can describe it. I wasn't struggling financially, but emotionally, I felt like a ghost, passing through first-class airports, beautiful restaurants, award ceremonies, and no one saw me. Not really.
That kind of loneliness is the worst because it hides behind applause and achievement.
Yes. And the weirdest part is, I couldn't admit it. I'd post the highlights, smile in photos, give interviews about living the dream, but inside, I was quietly suffocating. And every time I said I'm fine, a little part of me believed the lie. Until I didn't.
And now?
Now I've paused everything. I handed off most responsibilities. I canceled 2 speaking gigs. I'm trying to figure out what happiness actually means, beyond numbers and applause.
That takes courage, Ethan, more than most people realize.
Maybe, or maybe it's just desperation dressed up as bravery.
Either way, you're here now, talking, sharing. That's something real. That's where healing starts.
All right, Claire, we've talked a lot about my world, the noise, the grind, the emptiness behind the shine. But I'm really curious about yours. What's it like day to day?
Well, it's nothing like yours, that's for sure. I wake up around 7, not because I have to, but because I love mornings. I make a simple breakfast, coffee, toast, sometimes fruit. Then I walk to the community center where I teach art to kids and teens.
Sounds peaceful.
It is. Not perfect, not glamorous, but peaceful. The walls are chipped, the supplies are always running low, and the heating breaks in winter. But there's something magical about watching a kid paint for the first time, like their soul speaks without words.
That's beautiful. But don't you ever wish for more?
Of course. There are days when I wonder what it would feel like to take a vacation without worrying about rent, or to buy books without checking the price first. But when I look at my life as a whole, I'm not missing the essentials. I eat, I have a roof over my head, and I laugh often. That's more than I can say for a lot of people with bigger bank accounts.
You don't feel pressure to make it in the big city sense?
I used to, especially in my 20s. Everyone was chasing something, followers, promotions, side hustles, but I burned out early. I was trying so hard to be impressive that I forgot how to be content. So I stopped. I moved to a smaller apartment, started saying no to anything that drained me, and said yes to what made me feel alive, even if it paid less.
And you found happiness there?
Not instantly, but slowly, yes. I started noticing small joys, the sound of rain, the smile of a student who finally believed in themselves, the stillness of my own thoughts. You don't realize how loud life is until you step away from it.
It's like you traded ambition for peace.
I wouldn't call it a trade. I still have ambition, it just looks different now. My success isn't measured in numbers. It's measured in moments, in how present I am, in how kind I am when no one's watching.
That's such a foreign idea to me. Success without a scoreboard.
Maybe we've all been looking at the wrong scoreboard.
You know, listening to you makes me feel like I've been sprinting through life and missing the view.
Then maybe it's time to slow down. Maybe happiness isn't ahead or behind. It's right here, in the conversation, in the quiet.
Claire, do you ever wonder how much of what we believe about happiness comes from when we were kids?
All the time. Childhood is where the script gets written. the one we read from without even realizing it.
Exactly. I grew up in a family where success was everything. My dad worked 14-hour days. My mom used to frame every report card like it was a diploma. We didn't talk about feelings. We talked about results.
So love was tied to achievement?
Big time. I learned early. Good grades? Praise. Win a competition? Get a hug. Fail something? Silence. Or worse, disappointment. So I kept achieving. It became my identity.
That's heavy. I get it, though. My childhood was the opposite, in a way. My parents didn't have much, but they had each other and they had time. We didn't go on big vacations or wear name brands, but we sat down for dinner every night. We told stories. We laughed.
That sounds warm.
It was. And because of that, I learned that joy could live in simple things. But I also inherited fears, like being too ambitious would make me selfish, or that money was dangerous. So for years, I held myself back, thinking wanting more meant betraying who I was.
It's wild, isn't it? How we absorb all this without a single lesson being taught.
Right? No one sat us down and said, here's how happiness works. We just watched, listened, felt, and then built our own silent rules.
So in a way, both of us were shaped by love, but also by limitation.
Beautifully put. And maybe that's why we struggle now, because we're still playing by childhood rules in an adult world.
I wonder, if we could go back and talk to our younger selves, what would we say?
I think I'd tell little Claire, it's okay to dream bigger. Wanting more doesn't mean you're greedy. It means you believe in what you can become.
And I'd tell little Ethan, you are enough, even when you're not winning. You deserve love on your worst days, too.
What a conversation that would be. 2 kids, one chasing, the other holding back, both trying to be good enough.
And now, here we are, redefining what that means, together.
Yeah. Maybe happiness isn't just about what we do, it's about undoing, unlearning the noise, the pressure, the lies we believed too young.
That's the real work, isn't it?
The hardest, but also the most freeing. You know, Ethan, after talking about childhood and all those invisible rules, I keep coming back to one thing: connection. How much do you think happiness depends on who's around us?
I think it's huge. I mean, I've had people around me all my life, assistants, colleagues, acquaintances, but very few real connections. It's like having a crowd, but still feeling alone.
Exactly. Real connection isn't about numbers or how many followers you have. It's about vulnerability, trust, being seen and accepted without filters.
I remember one relationship, brief but intense. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to perform or impress. I could just be me. No suits, no power plays.
That's rare and precious. But why did it end?
I think I was scared. Scared that if I had let someone get too close, they'd see the cracks, the parts I'm ashamed of. So I pushed away before they could leave.
That's such a common fear. But ironically, pushing people away often leads to the very loneliness we try to avoid.
Yeah, it's like a trap. We build walls to protect ourselves, but then those walls become cages.
And the more isolated we feel, the harder it is to open up. It takes courage to risk rejection, but it's also the only way to build real happiness.
I guess that's where your work, teaching kids, comes in, helping them express themselves, connect with others. It's planting seeds.
Exactly. Kids are naturally open and curious, but as they grow, society teaches them to hide parts of themselves. My hope is to remind them it's okay to be messy, imperfect, human.
I want to be like that. To be real, not just a role or a brand.
It starts with small steps: sharing honestly, listening deeply, being present. Happiness and connection isn't flashy, it's subtle, slow building.
And it's scary, but worth it.
Absolutely. Because when we connect, we remind ourselves that we're not alone in our struggles or joys.
That reminds me of a quote I heard recently. Happiness is only real when shared.
Into the heart of it, we're wired for community, for love, and no amount of money or success can replace that.
So maybe the real question isn't what makes us happy, but who makes us happy.
Yes. And it's not about finding perfect people, but imperfect ones who choose to walk with us anyway.
Claire, we touched on this before, but I want to dig deeper. How do you see ambition fitting into happiness? Because for me, ambition has been this double-edged sword.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Ambition can drive us forward, give us meaning, but it can also trap us in endless chasing. For years, I thought giving up ambition meant giving up on myself. But now, I see ambition as something more personal.
How so?
It's not about climbing a ladder or beating others. It's about growing into who you want to be, aligned with your values, your passions, purpose over prestige.
I love that. But what if your purpose isn't clear? What if you feel lost?
That's part of the journey. Sometimes you find purpose through failure or confusion. It's less about a fixed destination and more about the process of discovery.
I've felt that lost feeling a lot. Sometimes I think I'm chasing goals that aren't really mine, more what I should want.
Exactly. Society, family, friends, all that noise can cloud our true desires. That's why reflection is so important. Asking yourself, what do I really care about?
Do you think happiness is tied to purpose then?
For me, yes. When you have a reason to get up in the morning beyond just surviving or consuming, life feels richer. It adds depth to the everyday.
But can ambition become an obsession, a never-ending race?
Definitely. When ambition is about proving worth or escaping dissatisfaction, it becomes exhausting. That's why balance matters. Pursuing goals while nurturing joy in the present.
I guess it's about redefining what success means, like you said before, moments over numbers.
Yes, ambition can coexist with contentment, but only if you don't let it steal your peace.
So purpose fuels happiness, but peace sustains it.
Perfectly put. And ambition without reflection can lead us away from ourselves.
That's a powerful reminder. I think I need to slow down and listen to what I really want.
We all do. It's a lifelong practice, learning to be honest with ourselves and compassionate along the way.
I'm grateful for this conversation. It's like peeling layers off, uncovering something real beneath the surface.
Me too. Maybe that's the greatest purpose, finding truth and sharing it with others. Ethan, we often hear people say routine is boring, but lately I started to think routines can actually help happiness. What's your take?
That's interesting because I used to hate routines. I thought they were chains holding me back. But now I see they can create a kind of peace, a rhythm to life that calms the chaos.
Exactly. When life feels unpredictable or overwhelming, routines give us something steady, a safe harbor.
Like brushing your teeth or morning coffee. It's small, but it grounds you.
And simplicity, too. We live in a world obsessed with more stuff, more activities, more achievements, but sometimes less is more.
I'm learning that. I've been trying to simplify my days, cut out unnecessary noise, focus on a few things that really matter.
There's a kind of magic in that simplicity. It frees up mental space to appreciate the little things, the sunlight through a window, a genuine conversation.
It's funny how when we chase big goals nonstop, we miss those moments.
Yeah, the irony. Happiness often hides in plain sight, in the quiet, the routine, the simple.
But routine can become monotonous too, right? How do we keep it from becoming soul-sucking?
Balance, I think. Routine gives structure, but we need to leave room for spontaneity, curiosity, and play.
So, like a dance between order and freedom?
Perfect metaphor. Too much chaos feels scary. Too much order feels suffocating. The dance keeps us alive.
I also feel like simplicity helps me slow down and notice what's really going on inside me.
Me too. It's hard to be mindful when life is a constant rush. Slowing down helps us connect to ourselves and others.
I guess routines and simplicity aren't about limiting life. They're about enhancing it.
Yes, creating space for what truly feeds our soul.
It's amazing how happiness isn't always found in big moments, but in daily rituals and presence.
And in learning to appreciate those moments, we start to rewrite what happiness looks like.
This whole journey feels like unlearning old myths and discovering new truths.
And it all starts with something as simple as a morning coffee shared with a friend.
You know, Ethan, lately I've been thinking about gratitude. How often do you pause just to appreciate what you have?
Not as often as I should, honestly. When you're always chasing, it's easy to overlook the good right in front of you.
Exactly. Gratitude shifts our focus from what's missing to what's already there. It rewires our perspective.
I've read that practicing gratitude can actually change our brain chemistry, make us happier on a deeper level.
Yes, science backs that up. But it's not just about counting blessings. It's about truly feeling them, letting them sink in.
Sometimes I catch myself taking things for granted, good health, a roof over my head, even this conversation with you.
That's so human. We adapt quickly and forget how precious these things are until we lose them or face hardship.
Do you have any gratitude habits?
I keep a journal. Every night, I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, big or small. It helps me end the day with a calm heart.
That sounds grounding. Maybe I should try it. I bet it would help with the stress and the restlessness.
It does. And gratitude also connects us to others. When we appreciate people around us, it deepens relationships.
Like saying thank you more often, being more present with friends and family.
Exactly. Gratitude is like emotional glue. It holds us together and reminds us we're not alone.
It's funny how something so simple can have such a profound impact.
Simplicity is a recurring theme, isn't it? Happiness often hides in these simple, overlooked practices.
I guess gratitude is a practice of noticing life's small gifts, even during hard times.
Yes. And it doesn't mean ignoring challenges. It means choosing to see light alongside the darkness.
That's powerful. It reminds me of the idea that happiness isn't the absence of problems, but how we respond to them.
Exactly. Gratitude teaches resilience. It's a tool for navigating life's ups and downs.
I feel like with gratitude, the ordinary becomes extraordinary.
And that's where real happiness lives, in those ordinary moments made meaningful by our awareness.
Claire, I've been thinking a lot about giving and receiving lately. Do you think happiness comes more from one than the other?
That's a deep question. I believe true happiness comes from a balance between both. Giving without receiving can lead to burnout, and receiving without giving can make us feel empty.
Yeah, I've seen people who give so much of themselves but forget to take care of their own needs.
Exactly. It's important to set boundaries. Giving is powerful, but only when it's sustainable and genuine.
And what about receiving? Sometimes I feel guilty accepting help or gifts.
That's common. We think receiving means weakness or indebtedness, but receiving with grace is its own kind of strength.
It feels like part of a natural flow, like breathing in and out.
Beautifully said. Life is a cycle of giving and receiving. When we resist either side, we block the flow of connection.
So happiness grows when we allow ourselves to both give and receive fully.
Yes, it nurtures relationships and our sense of belonging. Plus, giving with no expectation and receiving with gratitude creates harmony.
I remember volunteering once. Helping others felt amazing, but I also realized how much I gained from their gratitude and stories.
Those exchanges remind us that we're all interconnected. Happiness isn't just an individual pursuit, it's relational.
But in a world that often values independence, it's hard to admit we need others.
True. Vulnerability is key. Admitting our need for help doesn't diminish us, it humanizes us.
I guess the balance also means being honest with ourselves, knowing when to give more and when to step back.
Right. Self-awareness helps us avoid exhaustion and resentment, which are enemies of happiness.
I'm realizing that learning to receive is as much a journey as learning to give.
And both require practice, patience, and kindness, especially towards ourselves.
This makes me think happiness is less about what we have and more about how we relate to ourselves and others.
Exactly. It's in those connections, in the flow of giving and receiving, that happiness flourishes.
Ethan, I want to talk about something that trips a lot of us up. Comparison. It's such a sneaky thief of happiness.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling all too well. Scrolling through social media, seeing others' perfect lives, it messes with my head.
Exactly. We compare our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel.
And then we start feeling less successful, less attractive, less enough.
But here's the tricky part. Comparison is a natural human tendency. It's wired into us somehow.
Yeah, I guess it's about survival instincts, figuring out where we fit in the tribe.
True, but in the modern world with constant digital exposure, it's magnified and distorted.
So, how do we break free from comparison's grip?
It starts with awareness, recognizing when we're comparing and what triggers it.
That's tough, though. Sometimes it feels automatic.
It takes practice. When you catch yourself comparing, pause and ask, is this fair? Am I seeing the full picture?
Like reminding myself that social media is a curated highlight, not reality.
Yes, and shifting focus to gratitude for your own journey instead of envy of others.
I also think comparison can be useful if it inspires growth rather than self-judgment.
Definitely. When used mindfully, it can motivate us to improve or try new things.
But when it leads to negative self-talk, it becomes toxic.
Exactly. So the key is self-compassion. Treat yourself like a friend when you slip into comparison.
That's a good point. I tend to be harsher on myself than anyone else would be.
You're not alone in that. We often forget that our worth isn't defined by how we stack up against others.
It's liberating to realize that happiness comes from within, not from measuring up.
And from focusing on what makes you fulfilled and joyful, not what society says.
So breaking free from comparison means reclaiming our own narrative.
Yes, owning your unique story, your pace, your values.
I'm starting to see that the grass isn't greener anywhere else. It's green where you water it.
Beautifully said. Happiness blooms when we nurture our own garden. Ethan, have you ever tried mindfulness? Just being fully present in the moment.
I've heard about it, but I'm not sure how to really practice it. My mind's usually all over the place.
That's completely normal. Mindfulness is a practice, learning to gently bring your attention back when it wanders.
So it's not about emptying your mind.
Not at all. It's more about observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
That sounds hard, especially when stress hits.
It can be challenging, but even a few minutes a day can make a big difference. It helps reduce anxiety and increases awareness of what truly matters.
How does mindfulness connect to happiness?
When we're mindful, we savor experiences more deeply. We stop rushing and start noticing the small joys, like the taste of coffee or a kind smile.
I guess it slows down the noise and lets us appreciate the now.
Exactly. Mindfulness helps break the cycle of worrying about the future or dwelling on the past.
That's huge. I'm often caught up in what ifs or regrets.
Mindfulness brings us back to what we can control, this moment.
Have you noticed a change in yourself since you started practicing?
Definitely. I feel more calm, less reactive. It also helps me connect better with others because I'm really listening, not distracted.
That sounds like a superpower.
It feels like one, but it's really just training your brain like a muscle.
Can you guide me through a simple mindfulness exercise now?
Sure. Let's try a quick breathing exercise. Close your eyes if you want. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Hold for a second and exhale gently through your mouth.
Okay. Breathe in, hold, breathe out.
Notice the sensation of your breath, the cool air entering, the warm air leaving.
I feel a bit calmer already.
That's the power of presence. Even the small moment is a gift.
I want to keep practicing this. It feels like a path to peace.
It is. Mindfulness isn't about fixing problems, but about embracing life fully, right here, right now.
I'm grateful for this. It feels like a key piece in understanding happiness.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Every moment you choose to be present, you're nurturing your happiness.
Claire, we've talked a lot about internal things, mindfulness, mindset, but what about relationships? How do they really affect our happiness?
Great question. Humans are social creatures, Ethan. Our connections with others play a huge role in our well-being.
I've read studies saying strong relationships can add years to your life.
Absolutely. Quality relationships can buffer stress, boost self-esteem, and create a sense of belonging.
But what if relationships get complicated? Family drama, friendships that fade, romantic heartbreaks.
That's part of the human experience. Relationships aren't always perfect, but they teach us empathy, patience, and resilience.
Sometimes I wonder if being alone would be easier.
Solitude can be healing, but too much isolation leads to loneliness, which is linked to depression and anxiety.
So it's about balance.
Exactly. Healthy relationships nurture us, but we also need to maintain boundaries to protect our well-being.
How do you know when a relationship is worth investing in?
When it feels reciprocal, supportive, and aligns with your values. Toxic relationships drain energy and should be reconsidered.
It's hard to let go sometimes, even if it's harmful.
It is, but self-love means making space for growth and happiness, even if that means tough choices.
What about romantic relationships? They seem to have the biggest emotional impact.
They do. Romantic bonds can amplify both joy and pain, but at their best, they offer deep connection and support.
Is love a key to happiness then?
Love is powerful, but happiness also comes from self-love and other meaningful bonds, friends, family, community.
That makes sense. We can't rely on one person for all our happiness.
Right. It's about a web of connections that nourish different parts of us.
I guess investing in relationships means investing in our happiness.
Yes, and sometimes simply being present and truly listening can deepen those connections.
Like how mindfulness helps with presence, it also helps with relationships.
Exactly. When we're fully present, we give others the gift of our attention, which fosters trust and love.
I want to work on that, being more present with the people I care about.
That's a beautiful goal. Happiness grows in the fertile soil of genuine connection.
Claire, I've been thinking a lot lately about purpose. People say having a purpose makes life meaningful and happier. What do you think?
I completely agree. Purpose gives direction to our days. It's like a compass that guides us through challenges.
But what if you don't know your purpose yet? I feel lost sometimes.
That's okay. Finding purpose is often a journey, not a sudden discovery.
How do you even start looking for it?
Start by exploring what makes you feel alive, activities or causes that light a fire inside you.
So purpose isn't just about big achievements or careers.
Not at all. Purpose can be as simple as being a caring friend, a supportive parent, or volunteering in your community.
That takes some pressure off. I thought it had to be grand or world-changing.
Purpose is personal and unique. What matters is that it feels authentic to you.
Does having a purpose really affect happiness, though?
Studies show that people with a sense of purpose tend to have better mental health, resilience, and life satisfaction.
I guess when you have purpose, setbacks feel more manageable because you're working towards something meaningful.
Exactly. Purpose can sustain us during tough times and keep us motivated.
What if someone's purpose changes over time?
That's natural. As we grow, our values and passions evolve, and so does our purpose.
So it's flexible, not fixed.
Yes, it's about continually aligning your life with what matters most to you in each season.
How do you personally stay connected to your purpose?
I reflect regularly, set small goals, and surround myself with people who inspire me.
That sounds like a solid practice. I want to try that.
Remember, purpose doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be meaningful enough to get you out of bed with a spark.
I like that. A spark. It feels like hope.
And hope fuels happiness. Purpose and hope go hand in hand.
Thanks, Claire. This gives me a new lens to look at my life.
You're welcome, Ethan. Keep exploring, keep growing. Your purpose is waiting for you.
Claire, I've been wondering about routines. Some say routines make life boring, but others say they're good for happiness. What's your take?
Routines can be powerful. They create structure and stability, which our brains actually crave.
But don't routines make things repetitive and dull?
It depends on the routine. If it's rigid and joyless, yes. But if you build routines around things you enjoy or that support your goals, they can enhance well-being.
Can you give an example?
Sure, like starting your day with a simple ritual, maybe stretching, meditation, or journaling. It sets a positive tone.
I've tried journaling, but often skip it because life gets busy.
That's normal. The key is consistency, not perfection. Even a few minutes can help.
How do routines affect happiness scientifically?
Routines reduce decision fatigue. When your day has patterns, your brain conserves energy and stress decreases.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about decision fatigue before.
Also, routines can help form healthy habits, like exercise or sleep, which boost mood and energy.
But what about spontaneity? Isn't that important too?
Definitely. Balance is key. Routines give you a foundation, and spontaneity adds excitement and novelty.
So a mix of both is ideal?
Yes, too much chaos can feel overwhelming, but too much routine can feel stifling.
I guess I need to find my own rhythm.
Exactly. Personalizing your routine to what feels good and meaningful is important.
Do routines also help with mental health?
Very much so. Predictability can ease anxiety and provide comfort during stressful times.
Sounds like routines aren't enemies, but allies in our happiness journey.
Well said. They're the scaffolding that supports us while we build a fulfilling life.
I'm going to experiment with small routines starting tomorrow.
That's wonderful. Remember, it's about progress, not perfection.
Claire, everyone talks about money and happiness. Does money really buy happiness, or is that a myth?
It's a classic question. Money can impact happiness, but it's complicated.
How so?
Well, money can cover basic needs, food, shelter, healthcare, which are essential for well-being. Without these, happiness is hard to achieve.
Makes sense. So having enough money is important.
Absolutely. Studies show happiness rises sharply when people move out of poverty, but after a certain point, more money doesn't boost happiness much.
That's interesting. So there's diminishing returns?
Exactly. Beyond meeting needs and a bit of comfort, money alone doesn't guarantee joy.
What about buying things? Does spending money on stuff make people happy?
Temporary pleasure may be, but material things often lose their appeal quickly.
So what kind of spending does bring happiness?
Spending on experiences like travel, concerts, or learning tends to create longer-lasting joy.
I've noticed that memories feel richer than things.
Also, spending money on others, gifts, or charity boosts happiness for both giver and receiver.
That's beautiful. Giving creates connection.
Exactly. Social ties are a huge factor in happiness.
So money is a tool, not the goal.
Right. It's about how we use it that counts.
I sometimes feel pressured to earn more just because society says so.
That pressure can lead to stress and burnout, which harm happiness.
How do we balance ambition and contentment?
By reflecting on what truly matters to us personally, not what others expect.
So money should support our values, not define them.
Perfectly put. When money aligns with our purpose and relationships, it can enhance happiness.
Thanks, Claire. I'm going to rethink how I view money.
Glad to hear that.
Money can be a servant, but never the master of happiness.
Claire, we talk a lot about mental and emotional happiness, but how much does physical health play a role?
A huge role, Ethan. Our body and mind are deeply connected. When our physical health suffers, so does our happiness.
That makes sense, but sometimes it's hard to stay motivated to exercise or eat well.
True, but even smaller changes like daily walks or better sleep can improve mood and energy.
I read that exercise releases endorphins, the feel-good chemicals.
Exactly. Endorphins reduce stress and promote feelings of well-being.
What about diet?
Eating nutritious food fuels our brain and body. Poor diet can lead to fatigue and mood swings.
So physical health supports mental health, which supports happiness.
It's a cycle. Taking care of your body helps your mind feel balanced and positive.
How about sleep? I sometimes sacrifice sleep for work or social stuff.
Lack of sleep negatively affects mood, concentration, and emotional resilience.
Sounds like sleep is underrated.
Definitely. It's foundational for happiness and health.
What if someone has chronic illness or disability? Can they still find happiness?
Absolutely. Happiness isn't the absence of challenges. It's about how we adapt, find meaning, and appreciate what we have.
That's inspiring. So it's not about being perfect physically, but taking care as best we can.
Exactly. Self-compassion in health is key.
I want to start with small habits. Better sleep, more movement.
That's a great plan. Small steps build momentum.
Thanks, Claire. This gives me a new perspective on health and happiness.
You're welcome. Remember, your body is your home. Treat it kindly.
Claire, we've talked a lot about personal habits in health, but what about social connections? How important are they for happiness?
They're crucial, Ethan. Humans are social creatures. Our relationships deeply impact our well-being.
I've heard loneliness can be as harmful as smoking. Is that true?
Yes, studies show chronic loneliness can damage physical and mental health.
So maintaining friendships and family ties is more than just fun, it's essential.
Exactly. Positive social interactions release oxytocin, which fosters trust and bonding.
What about online friendships? Do they count the same?
They can, but face-to-face interactions tend to have stronger emotional impact.
I sometimes struggle with maintaining close relationships because of work and busy schedules.
It's a common challenge. Quality over quantity matters. Even brief, meaningful conversations can boost happiness.
How do social connections help during tough times?
They provide support, empathy, and perspective, which buffer against stress and depression.
Are there risks in social relationships that affect happiness negatively?
Yes, toxic relationships can harm well-being. It's important to set boundaries.
So choosing who we spend time with is part of happiness?
Absolutely. Surrounding yourself with supportive people nourishes your happiness.
Can social connection influence our outlook on life?
Definitely. Feeling understood and valued fosters optimism and resilience.
I want to invest more time in my relationships, even if it's just small gestures.
That's wonderful. Consistent effort nurtures strong bonds.
Thanks, Claire. It's clear happiness isn't just internal, but deeply connected to others.
Yes, happiness often blossoms in community.
Claire, we've talked about habits, health, and relationships, but what about meaning? How important is finding purpose for happiness?
Finding meaning is fundamental, Ethan. It gives our lives direction and a sense of fulfillment beyond momentary pleasure.
Some people say happiness is just about feeling good. Is meaning different?
Yes, happiness is often about positive feelings, but meaning connects us to something bigger, our values, goals, or community.
How do people find their purpose?
It varies. For some, it's their work. For others, family, creativity, or helping others.
Can meaning help during hard times?
Definitely. When life is tough, meaning provides resilience and hope.
What if someone feels lost without a clear purpose?
That's common. It can help to explore interests, reflect on what matters most, or try new experiences.
Does having a clear purpose guarantee happiness?
Not always, but it often makes happiness deeper and more lasting.
So it's like happiness with a backbone.
Exactly. Meaning supports happiness, especially during challenges.
Can purpose change over time?
Absolutely. Life stages, experiences, and growth can shift what feels meaningful.
How can someone start discovering their purpose?
By asking questions like, what energizes me? What values do I hold? How can I contribute?
Sounds like a journey of self-discovery.
It is. And it's okay to take time. Purpose isn't a destination, but an evolving path.
Thanks, Claire. I feel inspired to explore my own purpose more deeply.
That's wonderful, Ethan. Meaning brings richness to happiness.
Claire, we've talked a lot about purpose and meaning, but what about ambition? How do you balance wanting more with being content?
That's a tricky balance, Ethan. Ambition drives growth, but if unchecked, it can lead to dissatisfaction.
So ambition isn't bad, but it can become harmful.
Exactly. Ambition fuels motivation and progress, but if it makes you constantly chase without appreciating what you have, happiness suffers.
How can someone avoid falling into that trap?
By practicing gratitude and mindfulness, recognizing the good in the present while pursuing goals.
I struggle with feeling I'm never enough, always needing more success.
Many people feel that way. It's important to question whether your ambitions align with your true values or just societal expectations.
So ambition should serve your happiness, not undermine it.
Yes, when ambition aligns with your values and well-being, it becomes a source of joy, not stress.
Is contentment the opposite of ambition?
Not really. Contentment means appreciating the present without complacency. It's about peace with where you are while still growing.
Can you be ambitious and content at the same time?
Definitely. It's about balance, setting meaningful goals and enjoying the journey, not just the destination.
How do you practice that balance daily?
Pause to reflect, celebrate small wins, and be kind to yourself.
That sounds doable. I want to aim high, but stay grounded.
That's a healthy mindset. Ambition and contentment can coexist beautifully.
Thanks, Claire. This really clears up a lot.
Glad to help. Happiness often comes from harmony between striving and accepting.
Here we are, Claire, the final part of our journey. After all our talks, how would you define happiness now?
Great question, Ethan. I think happiness is a complex blend of moments: joy, meaning, connection, and peace.
So it's not just a feeling or a goal.
Right. It's both an experience and a way of living. It's appreciating the small joys while embracing life's challenges with resilience.
That reminds me of everything we discussed: health, relationships, purpose, balance.
Exactly. Happiness isn't one thing, but a harmony of many parts.
How about the role of acceptance?
Acceptance is key. Accepting ourselves, others, and the uncertainties of life helps reduce suffering and opens the door to contentment.
And what about growth?
Growth keeps us evolving. It's about learning and adapting, which adds depth to happiness.
So happiness is dynamic, not static.
Absolutely. It changes with time, circumstances, and perspectives.
What advice would you give someone chasing happiness?
I'd say look inward. Cultivate gratitude, nurture relationships, find your purpose, and be gentle with yourself.
Sounds like a lifelong journey.
It is, and that's the beauty of it. Happiness isn't a final destination, but a continuous dance with life.
I feel like our talks gave me new eyes to see my own happiness.
That's wonderful to hear, Ethan. Remember, happiness often grows from the simplest moments.
Thank you, Claire, for your honesty, your stories, and the courage to go deep. I've learned a lot sitting across from you.
And thank you, Ethan. These conversations weren't always easy, but they were real. And in a world full of noise, that means everything.
To everyone listening, if you stayed with us through all 20 parts of this journey, we hope you felt seen, heard, maybe even understood a little more.
And if there's one thing we'd love you to take with you, it's this. Happiness isn't out there. It's in the moments, the people, and the courage to show up as yourself.
This isn't the end, just a pause.
Until next time, take care of your mind, your heart, and each other.